Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, just got back from the pre-release, so you know what that means. It's time for the post-game report. And keep in mind, this is kind of useful information for if you go to any kind of like Saturday or even Sunday events, I heard is a thing at some places. So the turnout was insane. I mean, I think that was the biggest pre-release I've ever seen at that store. Now, I've been to ones with over 100, but this was huge for this place. Everyone there, and I mean every last person, was like super cool, super nice. They were like helping out the new people. We were helping each other with, rules, and if people missed a trigger and it's still their turn, we'd let them go back. No side shooting, none of that. Nobody had the have to win attitude, and nobody seemed like, absolutely crushed and pissed off that they were losing. So everybody just had fun. It was a fun set. Even if people were losing with like a really bad deck with a bad pool, there was still a couple cool cards, or they'd win one game per round. A lot of people were winning and losing in three. So pretty balanced set, and unlike the last couple sets, or some of the last couple, like some of the last six, I'd say, it was like, you get out this bomb card and just win, or like pull one in your pool in the first place and you would just demolish everybody. Or like some kind of synergy combo. Like remember, if you pulled all dinosaurs, all pirates, all, merfolk, you could really get some going. And the top couple people were running like 12, 13 merfolk. It's not fun when you have no chance of beating the person. I mean, because then you don't even really get to properly play your deck. But then again, it's thrilling if you pull off a win. But this was pretty different. I mean, I would say in the third round, the guy just straight up had a better deck than me. And I won the first two rounds, just absolute blowouts, basically. I mean, I guess the second round was closer. The first round, my deck was just so powerful. It was like, no, you're not going to win. The second one, I just ran the dude over on like turn 5. It was like the miracle start to end all miracles. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 land drop, and I beat him with 5 creatures on the field. That does not happen very often. In fact, the math of that is suspicious. Might have been turn 6, but he just got obliterated. Because on turn 5, I dropped a land and cast Eviscerate or whatever on his creature. His one blocker. So like his remaining, 9 life points were gone. Now that was a blowout. But, if you win 2, but you're not that confident in your deck, I mean, it's good, but it's not that good. Like I give mine maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10 when people are pulling, 8 out of 10 decks. It's not that bad because you have a chance. And I mean, even round 3, I lost in 3. And then, it did seem like a very powerful 2-2 deck. So I thought maybe I could get 3-1, especially if I lose the third round. But the guy I was up against, it was like dead equal decks, I'd say. He might have had a slight edge because, I mean, they're so different, it's hard to compare. But he got this sick combo off first game. I stood no chance. It was a lot of back and forth. My deck was working, his deck was working, and his just worked better. Because it had like graveyard recursion and infinite casting of spells and just it's so stupid. But the second game, I would have nuked him, just absolute obliteration if I could pull one land. But I mean, that's what I knew the weakness of my deck was. I'm not even going to say, it was luck. That's the poor design of the deck, and it's not like I designed the damn deck. I had to build it off of a limited pool. But I had 2 options. I could go white for sure, because I literally pulled like 20 white cards. I don't know what was up with that. One of my packs had 6 white cards in a row. That's weird. But, I had removal, I had good creatures flying first strike. I'm like, okay, white, definitely. No joke, white. Then I was going to go green. It would have been the perfect curve, almost nothing above 4 mana, just vanilla stuff, 0 synergy, but it would not backfire, almost no double cost, and I could just maybe ride the flyers. I thought, okay, it's weak, but it's consistent, and it won't backfire. And I thought, that's boring. That's a 2-2 deck. That's so boring. All the creatures just do nothing. They're just, a 3-1 for 2. Great, wonderful. A 2-2 and it destroys equipment. 4-2 and it has to be blocked. And I thought, well, I could throw in the 7-6 finisher for, I believe it was 6. I had 2 of those. But it was just so boring. I mean, it would have like 1 or 2 removal spells. So I'm like, I'm going black. A ton of the black cards were 4, 5, and 6, but I had 2 sagas, like 1 flying, demon or something. It was insane. It was so much more fun, crazy bomb cards, but way higher mana cost. But my whole pile was like 1, 2, 3 of white, so, it wasn't the end of the world. And yeah, it worked, but if you get stuck at 3 land, it's game over. That's it. I mean, maybe you could stall out with the right white creatures, but you'd have to pull them, and that just didn't happen. But it was a fun enough deck. It was so much more fun, like whether I won more or won less with that decision. I'd say one more, but no matter what, it was just more fun to play. And that's the thing. If you're having fun playing, it's not all about the prizes. Yeah, money's nice and value and trade value and, more packs opening, whatever. That's cool, but it is what it is. And the funny thing is, unless somebody got just really, really screwed on their packs in their pool, which, it happened. I saw some people. It seemed like everybody had like 4 or 5 bomb cards where they're just like so good, and they're all like 4, 5, 6, so they're fair. Like, you got to get to them, you got to earn them, and if somebody beats you too quick, you're screwed. But the thing is, nobody there was running a speed deck, like a true speed deck. People were doing like early game flood, but that's still like 7, 8, for turns. It was almost all Sapperlings. I did see somebody do an almost exclusive flying deck because his pool was just miserable. But I think he went like 3 color flyers or something, and it like really worked. I think he went 2 and 2. So remember, that's always an option. But yeah, this is probably, I feel like there was a better one. So I'll say second best set I've ever gone to a pre-release for. And I think my first pre-release was like, oh boy, it would have been Origins. It was before that, I think. I'm pretty sure it was Theros. I don't remember which one was like hilariously good. It might have been Origins, or it could have been like Journey into Nyx. I don't know, something you wouldn't really expect. Could have even, no, it wasn't BFC. That was just get an Eldrazi win. That was one of the worst ones I've ever played ever. But yeah, this didn't allow somebody to just run away with some cheap ass strategy, some just ridiculous, all flyers and I win. Like, all flyers will not get you very far in Dominaria unless you get really good pulls, and it's probably going to be 3 colors, so that's unreliable. And there wasn't just like speed red. It was like, Goblin Synergy activated ability, kind of control-y mid-red, which is, the friendly red. Red has a serious PR problem, and this solves it. But then on the flip side, if somebody pulled, quote, all the good cards, they're all so high cost that what are they going to do early game? They really better be able to turn the game around. And if you have, you drop in back-to-back-to-back, 5+ mana cards, like late game, that do turn the game around, great, but it's really risky, because you're usually at 10 health by then. I mean, there's a 2/1 that costs 1. I kept dropping it out, trust me. And then there's the 3/1 for 2. So people are going to do damage if it's unopposed. I mean, it's not that hard to kill those creatures, but, you got to do something. You got to have an early game, either control stall or some kind of just throw out tokens or whatever. So you could build the perfect deck if you had the perfect pool, but it's not likely. So you got the low end isn't too low, the high end isn't too high. And yeah, some decks are better than others, but you could also just outplay people. I mean, I made 1 play mistake. Maybe 2. It depends how you measure it, but like a sincere, I should have done this instead of just like, I missed this trigger, remembered it 1 turn later, or not even that. I would consider that. But yeah, I did pretty good for, 4 and 5 in the morning. Oh, and I haven't been to F&M much lately because I've been working every weekend. So I was impressed with that, but it's an easy to understand set. I mean, besides missed triggers and misinterpreting maybe how something works, it's not the hardest set to figure out. So it's user-friendly, and we had people who have never been to a pre-release before, and they had a riot. They did well. They made very little mistakes. I mean, it was really great. The turnout was great. The cards were great. The people were great. The store was great. The decks were great. The cards were great. It's so well designed. I mean, absolute A+. I don't think they could do much better than this. Now that said, what is winning? Because you guys know I always say what is winning. So if you got 2 fairly equal strategies, you can lean towards the one that's a little bit more reliable. Honestly, you should be able to read it yourself. But, if you're not a pre-release expert because they don't come around every day, Sapperlings are winning. Just straight up Sapperlings. They're cheap, they're efficient, you can sack them, they're recurring triggers, they flood, they block, they do everything but fly. I mean, Sapperlings are what are winning. It's just, there's not a whole lot of Sapperling cards, but the couple people with Sapperling decks all finished in the top. I was playing Black-White. Black-White looks amazing in the set. A lot of control, a lot of big bombs, a lot of early game. It's a good mix. So you're more likely to get a Black-White good pool. It's just don't take my advice and say, Black-White, that's the best color combination. Cool. And then go in and say, I'm playing Black-White unless it's terrible. No, look at your colors, ignore everything else, look at your pools, look at your cards and say, these are the best 2 colors. By the way, I would not go 3 color. That didn't go well for anybody. A couple people went 4 color and they rebuilt it in between because that's, I mean, unless you've got really good filtering and searching, which does exist, by the way, you're still going to mulligan like every other game. So if that's acceptable to you, you're still going to run the best of. So it's a trade-off, but I don't like getting stuck by luck, completely not related to my skill, and I lost because of that. I don't like that. Also, you'd be brushing up against a time limit like crazy because you mulled and then you kind of lost, but it took a while. And then you're always going to go to 3 games because one will always backfire. The colors will always backfire 1 and 3. I mean, okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but just typically that's what happens. So I would keep it to 2. I mean, it's not that hard. The funny thing is some of the best cards are 3 color, but don't build your whole deck all around one thing. I mean, even if you had like 4 color fixers, it's really rough playing 3 color. I mean, you're going to get there eventually, but there's also a ton of double and a couple triple color cost cards, and you'd almost have to exclude them at that point. You'll just sit there with a handful of cards that you can't play. I mean, I don't like that. But depending upon how redundant it is, how low cost, how flexible, how many lands, the curve, everything, it's doable. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend it to the average person. I played 3 color Pirates, I think it was, at the Rivals one, and I did really well with it, but still, anytime I was color screwed, I lost the game, and it was so aggravating. You're like 8 turns in, and I'm like, can I just get a swamp for God's sake? And then you get one that like comes in tapped or something, like some weird dual land is like, oh, I gotta wait another turn now. It's just painful. So yeah, Saprolings, if you can do it and you're like, yeah, but they're 1/1s, they're not that great. They are that great. Trust me, you are misinterpreting that. They are that great if you have the support for it. The absolute kings were Maldrasa. I mean, that basically couldn't be beaten. Song of prerelease, the most broken card in the set. The most broken card for pre-release, I'll say. The second most broken, or tied for broken, or at least most broken and constructed, the new Coco, which is the Druid Vow thing. That was wrecking everybody's face. I think I saw somebody whiff on it, though, which is pretty funny. I mean, I call all lands a whiff. Like, they got to bring them into play, but, I mean, come on, let's be honest. And, boy, every time I brought out the Black Blade, I wrecked people with it. That was the king of my deck, was that Black Blade Reforged. It's 2 to drop in, and then you've got a legendary, and it's a historic, so, okay, whatever. If you don't use it, you don't use it. It's 3 mana to equip it to a legendary, and it gets +1/+1 for every land in play. So it gets worse and worse and worse as time goes on, but you do that on turn 2 or 3 to a cheap legendary, and you'll just win the game. Nobody can stop something that powerful that soon. Even a kill spell, okay, put it on the next thing. But the thing is, it's 3 to equip to a legendary, 7 to equip to a regular. But I had 2 Mesa Unicorns, and I just named them Uniswords because, damn, I'm swinging in for 11 lifelink with those things. They got the big old Black Blade in their mouth, and they're charging into Battlehorn first. So yeah, that was, oh my god, I think I was the only person who pulled that, and it's just disgusting. That card is just a war crime. Obviously, Planeswalkers help a bit. I think the people who pulled them didn't end up playing those color pools, though. So I don't know. I can't really confirm that. And honestly, just a lot of the black good cards are good. I don't want to name all of them. There's probably like 7 or 8 of them. But they're just, the big, big, big bad ones. The ones with recurring abilities, anything related to Saprolings that's black. Like the discard, a lot of the kicker ones are pretty good. There's just good stuff in black. So yeah, if you can get white black to work, you're off to the races, but don't go into another event thinking, oh, I have to do that. So hopefully that helps. Leave your epic stories down below. I don't know if you guys have checked out the comment section on a video like this, but it has some wild stories. I mean, somebody said like a couple birds flew into their damn LGS and like just wrecked everything. Just like made everybody panic because they're like dive bombing people. I'm like, now that's a story. We had a bird swoop in one time at this little dinky LGS I was visiting in another city, and it just flew in, flew out, and we're like, that was weird, and then we kept playing. So yeah, leave your best story from this or maybe any other pre-release, and what deck worked, what didn't. Did you get destroyed? Did you go 4-0? One of my friends is really new to the game, won. First place. He swept. That's freaking amazing. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next post-game report.